Welcome to the ET Stand podcast, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast that lets its talking to the football for this opposition fan preview with friend of the show and iconic North Queensland fan, Rob. On the Ranch podcast, I had to listen to your episode on Tuesday night. God, you guys are just so funny, aren't you? I guess you've got to have a sense of humour given the Cowboys round one performance, don't you, Rob?
I'll take the funny compliment rather than anything else at this point. So, yeah, no, that's good. Look, not the best start to the season, but eyes forward.
Eyes forward indeed. All right, well, this opposition fan preview is brought to you by Miranda Hotel down there at Miranda. If you want to get in and watch the Sharks play the Cowboys at 5:30 p.m., they are showing it live and loud. And new announcement just for us, they're doing $7 schooners down at Miranda Hotel during the game, which is pretty good, even for a North Queensland pub, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'll hook down there for that, I think. A bit far away
pretty
from me.
Good. If you want to book a table, do so on mirandahotel.com.au. They're also doing $7 schooners for the Friday night matches as well, which I think this recording will only just be out in time to go and do it, but they will be live and loud down at Miranda Hotel. So they are a good partner of us, Miranda Hotel. And we're going to have an event down there too in the coming weeks when I eventually get back from New York, I think. But in the meantime, Rob, let's preview the bottom of the cellar dwellers. The loser of this match is out and out going to be last. 4 points off the lead. Season over, isn't it? How worried are you?
It's only round one, mate. It's only round one or round two as we go into. Not worried at all. Cowboys lost their first three games in 2015. Probably not quite the drubbing we had like last week, but the first three games of 2015 we went down and went on a streak after that and won the whole thing. So eyes forward, eyes up. Confidence is high. Coming up against the Sharks, coming off a loss. It was a while ago, but, who knows? There's been some changes in the team, as I'm sure we'll get to, but we'll see what happens.
We'll certainly get to those. So, we went and looked back at the Sharks' performance of good seasons versus bad seasons on the Tuesday night show, and we worked out that actually whether you win or not in round one is kind of irrelevant to how you do in the regular season. So your Halicon season for North Queensland Cowboys, and I look at your 30-year hat, and we'll talk about that in a second. Certainly that 2015 season, 30 years. Good. You got to be looking forward to that. Are we seeing chalks of, greatest 30 players for the Cowboys teams named and all that fun stuff? Is that currently doing the rounds?
They've done team of the decade and things like that over the last they did a lot of it last year, actually. There'll be more probably as the year goes on. I'm sure that the club socials will push some stuff out like that to pick their best players. We did one not too long ago, and I think it might have been the 30-year team, and a lot of people agreed. Very, very similar. I'd have to look up what exactly came out.
I can nail it, Rob. Surely
no doubt. Bowen,
Matt Bowen, Matt Singh, Kyle Felt.
For the most part, I think
Josh
you're right.
I think Paul Bowman, Jonathan Thurston.
Variations across.
Who's the 5'8"? I guess it's Dearden. Who's going to be the 5'8"?
I don't think Dearden made the cut. I'd have to look it
Paul
up.
Green. Does Paul Green play? Does he make it?
No, I don't think he made the cut at all. I'd have to look it up. Sorry, but you got me at a bit of a loss there. But it was.
Maybe that one's up for debate.
Might have even been Michael Morgan. I think he might have.
Yeah, Michael Morgan makes sense. And then the forwards are Taumalolo, Matt Scott, Aaron Payne, surely, Gavin Cooper.
Yeah, I think Paul Rahihi got a run.
Rahihi was good.
Yeah, and even Steve Southern, I think, might have.
He was good too.
So, it was a pretty varied team. But, the usual suspects.
I reckon that team pretty much picks itself. I guess there's a difference between 30 years and 50 years. The Sharks team of the half decade, or the half century rather, is a little bit tougher once you start having that second run of players in. So you guys are a quality team. So let's have a look at this Cowboys team. There's a few changes that you might notice from when the Sharks previously played the Cowboys in that week 2 finals match, which Rob didn't want to let me talk about. Who's now the new players in there? Tell us about Thomas Duffy. Is this game 2 for this halfback?
There's a lot of new players on there, and there's a lot of experienced players that have left since we last met. So there's and pretty much all of them replaced by 1 or 2 game rookies or thereabouts. So it's pretty tough really for these guys. Tom Duffy is a local product. He's come through the system. the Cowboys system and is carving it up in Queensland Cup, really absolutely smashing it in Queensland Cup, and has pretty much been in line, I think, for the Cowboys 7 for a good 3 or 4 years at least. We spoke to him on our podcast probably 2 years ago, and back then, like, his head screwed on. I think he was a 19-year-old at the time. He was in no rush to make it to first grade. He knew he had some development to do, and he knew what was ahead of him. I think he's completely aware of his capabilities at this point, that he's only a rookie, that he's only got one game under his belt. But I think he's surrounded by the right people. So it's I don't know if you can have anyone too much better than Tom did to your side, and, like, you know, some of those other players as well have got the experience there to help him out. But again, across the park, you know, you've got Braden Burns filling in for Kyle Felt. I shouldn't say filling in, replacing.
Oh, you know how much I love Kyle Felt, Rob.
We all do, and we're watching him.
No, we don't. We hate Kyle Felt.
No, we love him.
Sure,
Braden Burns, though. Braden Burns is doing a good job so far. I mean, we've only seen a handful of games in pre-season, and I mean, he played last year as well, so, you know, he's doing all right. But he was one of our standouts from last week, actually, in a very losing side. I think he got votes from all of us in our player points at the time. Jackson Purdue
last week, wasn't it though, Rob? Like, sometimes you just get those couple of penalties against you at the start and as you're running away with it. You talked about it on your show on Tuesday night, and your panel was a bit split almost with, yeah, guys, we got beaten by 40 points or whatever it was, and they just ran some tries in at the end. But sometimes it can be hard for the teams to break that spell that the teams can have over you early with a couple of tries and a bit of inexperience, no?
Yeah, definitely. And the inexperience is probably a big part of it there. Especially, you know, there was 3 early tries put on in the first half, and then a couple in the second half early on as well. And that was just enough, I think, to break their back and put them on the back foot. And they just mentally couldn't recover more than anything else. I think the ability is there. It's, again, the young side and the inexperience plays a big part in that.
You've got to build the team up, though, don't you? So the likes of Duffy and Burns and some of these guys, like, I'm hardly looking at Drinkwater and Dearden thinking they're like season 200 game first graders. Like, they're only just becoming seasoned NRL players themselves.
That's
so
right.
Surely if you can stick, like, are you guys thinking, if we can stick this team out for 2 or 3 years, we've got a shot once. And look, you talked about it on your show again. I've called it out too. There are a bunch of NRL halfbacks retiring in 5 years, in the next 5 of them in the next couple of years. You could be well set up. You're just going to have to wear it the next season or two, aren't you?
No, we're looking forward to winning it this year. We're going to start this weekend. No, it's you've got to look at it. Depends on how you look at it. There'll be some of us who will be looking at it as if, yeah, this young side should, make the older guys around the other clubs, put them on their back foot. They should be able to run circles around them. And then there's the other school of thought, which is probably more mine, which is it may take a season or two for these guys to really gel. It's definitely going to take a game or two, and we saw that evident as of last week. So I don't know. I think we might surprise a few teams this year, but I think you're right. There might be a year or two there of pain, unfortunately, and that's just a legacy of losing a lot of very good players in a short amount of time. Kyle Felt, Val Holmes, and our 7 has sort of. I don't know if Chad was really.
Well, he was good. He was good at the start for you guys, Chad, wasn't he? And then he just fell away a little bit. Where's Clifford? Is he not a 7, or is he still injured?
He's still injured for the time being. He's probably pretty close to coming back. It just sort of depends, I guess, on how Duffy goes over the next couple of games as to whether or not Clifford gets a run on once he's injury free. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't see what happens at training, at every training, so we don't really know the full story. But I think, you got to have Duffy. You got to give him time.
You can't drop a guy after one match. That's just a career killer, isn't it?
You got to give him a half dozen matches anyway before you'll get anything out of him. I don't think he was that bad last week. He was solid enough. He was what you kind of expect from a rookie at the time. So I got no issues with Duffy at the moment. Jackson Purdue's got a couple of games under his belt now. I don't have any issues with what he's doing either. So We've got a new debutant this week in Kai O'Donnell, who's replacing the dropped Nanai.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What happened? What did he do wrong?
Well, Nanai's had a couple of years where his defense has lacked. And I think I pointed it out on the pod this week. I think I said the same thing. He was great in 22. I mean, most of the team was great a couple of years ago, but they've fallen back into it seems like routine to them. So Nanai defensively has issues, clearly, because he's not playing this week. But attacking, he seems to be okay, but we just never got the chance to show that off last week. So it's time to give someone else a go, and hopefully this shows to the rest of the players that no one's above being dropped. Nanai's a representative player, one of our best.
Australian player, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. So if you can drop someone like that to Queensland Cup, or reserve grade effectively, then
anyone's
head's on the block. Probably not Tom Dearden or Scott Drinkwater, or Ruben Cotter for that matter. But you put them up there, then they're putting their playing reputation, I guess, on the line. They need to be giving 100%.
What was your reaction to the Cowboys signing John Bateman?
Yeah, look, I have no issues with John Bateman. He's a bit of a journeyman, I suppose, to a point.
He's now, isn't he?
He is now. He's
I think
he can be solid. He was pretty good last week. Again, no issues. I didn't mind him when he was at the Raiders. I had no issues with him there. He seems to be, I don't know, I guess see how he goes. It's probably more a case of how he gels with the other players each side of him more than anything else. So those 11 and 12 spots for us have always been a bit tricky, certainly over the last couple of years. You could put the best 11 or 12 in there and they might not necessarily gel with people either side of them. So we'll see what happens there.
We have had some good 11s and 12s, as we mentioned in your history, of the likes of Steve Southern and Cooper and these other characters. I noticed that Taumalolo was also not in the 17. He's in the extended bench, though. Is he a chance of playing?
Still a Les Frank injury troubling him at the
They're
moment.
Bad. When did he do that?
So, now that happened, I believe, during the Tonga game, or at least during training for that, and then he played in that Tonga game with that injury. So a few question marks around the Tongan squad.
It's going to take him longer to come back, I think, than...
Yeah, for sure. And, there's, again, two schools of thought there. Is he back to his best, or is he, is he past it? People are looking at that 10-year deal and asking questions. I don't know. I think he's still doing fine. When he's 100% fit, there's more issues than Jason Taumalolo.
How many years is Taumalolo into the 10-year deal now?
I think there's about 3 left. Maybe.
If you're looking at that with your Cowboys goggles on, having seen the likes, what's the Newcastle guy's name that's just signed the 10-year deal, and of course Nico's on a long-term deal as well. Do you look back? What's the Newcastle guy's name? Oh goodness, I can't remember.
Ponga's got his long-term deal. I don't know.
Ponga, and then the new guy, they've just signed him.
Dylan Brown.
Yeah, Dylan Brown, of course. Yeah, do you look at that thinking back? Because I looked at the Taumalolo one and thought, by the time it gets to the end, he's going to be past it. Is that how you're feeling now? You still think it's a good shout?
No, I still think it's good. I don't know if a change of coach might bring the right thing for him. Maybe Todd Payton's not the right coach for Jason Taumalolo. I don't know. There's been talks of rifts there as well over the years. None of it's been confirmed by anybody who knows anything. So, all a bit of a joke for those guys. They have a bit of a laugh when they talk about it. But I don't know. Maybe that's something that is there. Maybe he needs some time on the sidelines. Maybe he needs to go to another club. I don't know what would get the best out of Jason Taumalolo.
I think with a Liz Frank injury, you should be treading very carefully with that one.
Well, that's right.
They take 12 months, Rob.
Yeah, he's had a string of injuries in the last couple of years. So, with he's had broken hands, and I don't know how his knees still hold up. He can still put a step on when he's fit. So, anyway, it's that's the risk of signing a 10-year deal, isn't it?
It is. All right, Rob, tell us how the Cowboys beat the Sharks on Saturday night. Where do the tries come from? How do you do it? How do you see it playing out?
It's got to be a lot better than last week, whatever it is. No, I think Cowboys have got to be working on their defense before they even look at attack. Attack has for probably the last 3 or 4 years, not ever really been an issue. No problem scoring points, and we've probably relied on that too much because we've bled plenty. That's not a drama there. So I think really these guys have got to be hitting the tackling pads as hard as they can this week and stop as many tries as they can, all of them preferably. Can't see that happening, but you never know. And from there, I think from there the points will come.
Is your pack going to be big enough to handle the likes of the monsters that are in the Sharks pack, especially with the addition of one big man, Aiden Fanua-Blake, Rob?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty sure we covered this last year and we had no issues. But, yeah, Aiden Fanua-Blake is a bit of a, I don't know about a concern, but probably a bit of a puzzle that has to be solved. And I don't know how the team's going to – it depends on how they bounce back after last week again, and with our Kai O'Donnell starting as a fresh rookie in there, anything goes at that point.
Well, I was amused by your podcast of Pistol Pete running through the back line and running them head to head, and him calling out that he thought that, Braden Burns was a stronger player than Ronaldo Mulatalo. That did amuse me a lot. Look, it is an almost full strength Sharks. We're missing Sione Katoa probably comes in on number 2 for where Samuel Stone Street is. So Stone Street is a quicker winger. So we don't get as much carry out from the our danger zone of the 20 meters. Big bunch of centers with Ramian and Eros, so they're going to be coming against your mob pretty tough and hard. And then Sharks fans don't like the selection of Daniel Atkinson at 14. We feel we should run with the 4 forwards, but goodness me, Talakai, Hamlin, Ueli, and Hazelton, they are big boppers, Rob. So we will we'll see how we do. But we like the Cowboys. We'll certainly like the Cowboys a little bit more now that they don't have more premiership winning Sharks players than we had, though.
Yeah, look, I don't know if those big forwards will help you. Hopefully they get tired out. Hopefully, from my point of view anyway, they get tired out a little bit quicker.
How much hotter is it going to be in Townsville on a 5:30 in a March Saturday night game?
Well, yeah, it's hovering around 30 odd degrees at the moment. Well, this week, right now, it is raining, and it's been predicted to rain for the next week or so. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of humidity in the air, and I don't know if the heat is the issue for players that come up here. I think it's the humidity and there's no respite from it. You walk into your change rooms and you might get a little bit of aircon, but as soon as you run back out, it just saps it out of you. And I think that might help us against the big guys up front.
Definitely help.
But I don't know that. Our guys get tired in it as well. So, they've got to live in it. It saps you every day. It's not a one-off thing. So,
all right, Rob. Now, give us. Are you more confident going in, having spent 20 minutes talking to me about this match, or are you less confident now that you've had to? Oh God, I've got to talk to the ET Stand podcast guys.
No, I always like talking to you guys. I never have a drama talking to you guys. That's the fun part of the week. I go into every game with nerves. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. So it's again, it's sort of one of those things where you don't know which Cowboys team is going to show up that week. So and after last week, I'm a little bit. I'm very nervous, I should say. I did tip the Cowboys this week. Maybe that's partially to do with hosting a podcast about it. But yeah, look, I don't know if it's going to be a good game or a terrible game. We just don't know. It's too many unknowns going into this one.
Well, I guess at the start of the season, you can still be a little unsure. And look, the Sharks have travelled a lot of Ks. So from Las Vegas back down to Sydney up to Townsville, change of temperatures, time zones, a whole bunch of different things. That has got to knock them around. So maybe this is a good time for the Cowboys to play the Sharks. One thing what is it? The last 15 matches, one of the Sharks won the last 14, I think, as well. Rob, that doesn't play you in good stead against the Sharkies either, does it? Do you dismiss that, or does it mean something?
It's one of those things you can't look at. I see nothing in history and history stats or anything like that. I think we had some great record against Manly at Brookvale going into last week, and then we got flogged. So history means next to nothing. It's usually a completely different team certainly over 5 years. It's almost a completely different team from last year, certainly on our side. So, you can't put history aside and just run into it head first.
We're still bitter about you guys, buddy, winning by 2 points in that Shark Park semi-final a couple of years ago. When that try that I think it was Dearden or Drinkwater scored a try. That wasn't a try, and we had the guy get sinned in. Mate, I remember. Come on, you remember. What about the 7th tackle try? We joked about it last time. I think there's a lovely little rivalry between the Sharks and the Cowboys. We seem to have come up against each other quite a
There
few
is a little
times.
bit of, there's history there, but it's not a bad history. You know, no one
Well,
hates
it's
the
just
Sharks. I don't think anybody hates the Cowboys, and
No, they don't.
This is one of those games this week that I think that'll be a blockbuster. Looking at all the other games, I can't see any of the other games outrating ours, just quietly.
Well, the Sharks are typically a pretty popular team in terms of Sydney teams being people's second team. And I'd imagine there's a lot of Queensland people that like the Cowboys as well. So maybe a 5:30 viewership's going to be pretty good for it in terms of the ratings. I'll ask my KO mates how this match goes. All right, Rob, give us a tip. How the Cowboys by how many? Come on.
It'll be a tight one, if anything. I'll go Cowboys by 2.
Cowboys
keep it nice and tight.
2.
Yeah, I think it'll go right down to the wire. That's what the Cowboys tend to do, and that'll keep both of us on our toes for, it starts at 4:30 our time.
So it does. And what about your mate Pete and his bloody betting where he bets the 51 plus? I didn't even know you could bet 51 plus. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's there. It's definitely there. It depends on the bookie, of course. I won't mention them, but yeah, no, it's definitely there, and he'll throw it on nearly every game. He throws it in there. I'm not sure that 51 plus has actually paid off, but he has gotten a few in the past. I think it was against the Eels. He got a 31 plus up in Darwin, so that was handy.
That's pretty handy. I heard of someone getting a whole bunch of try scorers into the other ones for the Gillaroos match, where they basically on like 6 players to all score tries, and the bookies didn't quite see that coming. So that was a fun one for them. Look, I applaud you for your faith in your team, Rob. I'm going to say, look, the Sharks beat the Cowboys by 8 points last time we played. I feel you guys have got a new team. I think the Sharkies are just a little bit better than last season, and I think the performance against the Panthers proved that because we bridged the gap, only going down 6 points to them. I think we can win by maybe 10 points this time, maybe 12. Make it a little bit. Not a 13 plus.
That's a lot less than what I thought you were going to go. So I'll take it.
I was going to go Pistol Pete's 51 plus, get on it, but I just thought that would be just mean. Now, also worth calling out. Now, Rob, last time I was at the Sharks versus the Cowboys match, I met some lovely North Queensland Cowboys fans that knew you guys and listened to your podcast. And so I applaud you for your work and your efforts that you do. Having been around for a little while now doing this podcasting, you guys do a really good job on the ranch. And so, yeah, tell the listeners, if you're coming across this podcast from the first time and listening to the opposition fan preview and you're fired up for the Sharks versus the Cowboys, how can Cowboys fans listen to your podcast?
Find us anywhere, all the good listening platforms. I think, you just search for on any of them now and you can find just about anybody. But if you look for On the Ranch and specifically On the Ranch NQ, you'll find us. You should find us on there. Any of the socials as well, On the Ranch NQ. We've got our merch kicking off a bit more this year. So
yeah, you've got some new merch, don't you? What do you got now?
We got new hats coming. I haven't got one within reach right now.
Rob, I'm going to talk to you about your merch.
That's fine, but they'll be up on the store very soon, on the ranch nq.myshopify.com. But just go to ontheranch.com.au and follow all the links from there.
And your episodes typically come out on a Monday, don't they?
Well, a Wednesday morning now. We actually record on a Monday now, which we had to do a little bit of shift and change around to get us all in the same room at the same time. But
which makes it a lot of fun.
Monday night record, and we get it out first thing Wednesday morning. So that gives us a little bit of time to get rid of any of the excessive swearing. No.
Oh, yeah, you got to edit out those characters. God, that Pete mate of yours, goodness me, how the hell are you stay mates with him? He's like loose.
Oh, look, I see him once a week and no more than that, if I can help
it. Fair enough. All right, Rob, you're an absolute gentleman. Thank you for coming on the ET Stand podcast again. We do wish you luck on Saturday night, and I will applaud you again when the Sharks did beat the Cowboys last season. Rob was incredibly gracious, very gentlemanly, and was accepting of the fact that his team lost and wished us luck, and then sent me a nice message when we inevitably got knocked out the week later by the Panthers, which he knew his team would have also been knocked out the week before. So what we also try to encourage of Sharks fans is you want to be mates with your buddies from from the other teams as well. And it's good fun to have a little bit of a rivalry and banter from time to time. But, we're all human beings enjoying this world of rugby league. And so hopefully it's a fun match and we're not complaining about the referees going the podcasting on next week, Rob.
We'll be fine. That's so long as if we don't mention referees at all, it's a good game.
Sounds good. All right, legend. Well, thanks for coming on the ET stand. That was Rob from On the Ranch NQ podcast. For any of the Cowboys fans, get out and listen to him. For me, David Bolderman, this episode was brought to you by Miranda Hotel. Get down there for the $7 schooners. Up, Cronulla.
Thanks for having us.